So there are also elective abortions that can be done, and these are all done with something called misoprostol, if it's a chemical. So misoprostol, and it can be done 3 ways. One of the ways is 3 big doses, has to be done in 60 days or earlier, or 59 days really. Can't be done after 60 days. 3 doses, or you can go misoprostol in a lesser dose with 1 dose plus methotrexate, and that has to be done before 50 days. Or you can do it instead. There's a third option. So this is option 1, option 2, option 3. You can do it with something called mifepristone. Same thing with this one, 50 days. Or you can wait 90 days, or that's the same thing as 13 weeks, and you can do a D&C at that point, or a manual, or you can go up to like I don't remember what it was. Let's see, it was 24 times 7, 168 days. Sometimes it's the same thing as 24 weeks. Depends on the state. And you can do induction of labor. Okay, so those are the options with elective abortions, and it looks like about half of pregnancies are unplanned, and it looks like 25% of all pregnancies, and I guess ones that don't end up in spontaneous abortion, are aborted by one of these methods put here. Okay, so moving on, fetal heart rate monitoring. So there's a couple different ways to do this. One, it can be performed with an electrode attached to the fetal scalp. That's really, really accurate apparently. Or you can use a Doppler ultrasound, or you can get continuous electronic fetal heart monitoring. I guess that's what those are. Yeah. All right, recommendations for fetal heart monitoring. The first stage of labor, remember we divided labor up into 3 stages. We watched that video. So the first stage of labor, they check it every 30 minutes or so. Second stage of labor is about every 15 minutes. And this is without any sort of complications. If there are complications, then you want to check it like, this is without complications. Now with complications, you want to check it every 15 minutes. And then as you get closer, and second you want to check it every 5 minutes. So no complications, you don't need to check it that often. 30 minutes, first stage, and then second stage, 15. Now why don't you check it in the third stage? Well, remember the third stage, the baby's already out, so you don't need to, third stage is you're delivering the placenta, so you don't need to worry about that. Alright, so components of fetal heart rate evaluation. So normal fetal heart rate is going to be somewhere between 110 and 160. If it's below 110 and stays there for a while, consider that bradycardia. If it's above 160, then we consider that, and stays there for a while, we consider that tachycardia. So can be caused by congenital heart malformations or by severe hypoxia, secondary to uterine hyperstimulation, cord prolapse, or rapid fetal descent. So there's a couple different things that can cause this. The tachycardia, so we were just talking about bradycardia, those are things that can slow it down. Tachycardia can include hypoxia, so too much oxygen, maternal fever, and fetal anemia. So in other words, the baby feels like it's not getting enough what it needs. So some variability. So there's different types of variability here. There is undetectable variability is what they call it, and that it indicates severe fetal distress. And then there's also minimal variability, which is less than 6 beats per minute. This indicates fetal hypoxia or the effects of opioids, magnesium, or the sleep cycle. Normal variability, what I mean by less than 6 beats per minute, which means so normally the beats are going to be on a certain track, pretty normal, but if it drops down below that normal, like less than 6 beats per minute below, then they call that the minimal variability, which means it's only being variable by about 6 beats per minute. If it's somewhere between 6 to 25 beats per minute, they call that normal variability. And if it's marked variability, which means it's greater than 25 beats per minute, so this is like a big difference. This may indicate fetal hypoxia. And then lastly, on the different variability, there's also sinusoidal variability, which is this means there's probably serious fetal anemia, something like that. Okay, so what about acceleration? So we talked about, fetal heart rate normal. So we got, I'll write some of these numbers down. Normal is 110 to 160, and we talked this variability. So it's like moving around different amounts of being variable, and the main variabilities was less than 6, and then we had 6 to 25, and then we had greater than 25. Those are all types of variability. And then we have accelerations now. So with accelerations, this is variability, and then with accelerations we have onset of increase in fetal heart rate to a peak of less than 30 seconds. Reassuring because it indicates fetal ability to appropriately respond to the environment. So if it gets fast, if it accelerates a little bit, it's good. It means that the baby's body is adjusting appropriately. If there's decelerations, that's a different thing. Kind of what some of this looks like. So I don't know if you can see that. There we go. What some of this may look like there. That top one is the variable heart rate. I've explained some of this on another video, so maybe I won't go into this too much. But just reviewing, there's early, late, and variable. Early decelerations. So, I explained this earlier, I won't go into too much, but early is basically head compression from a normal uterine contraction. Late is utero-placental insufficiency and fetal hypoxia. So late one's really kind of a bad one, and variable can mean umbilical cord compression. So that's kind of a bad one too. Antepartum fetal surveillance. So this is like after the baby's delivered. How do you check on it? Ante means before. So before the baby's born, surveying the baby. So I don't know how much I want to go into that. It says fetal movement assessment, assessed by the mother as the number of fetal movements over 1 hour. So the average time to obtain 10 fetal movements is 20 minutes. So you should be having a movement every other minute. Of course, this is somewhere between 32 to 40 weeks. So this is kind of far along. When the baby's really far along, 32 to 34 weeks, you should feel a movement about every 2 minutes. All right. We also have something called a non-stress test. This is performed with the mother resting in the lateral tilt position to prevent supine hypotension. The fetal heart rate is monitored externally by the Doppler along with tocodynamometer, that's a fun word, to detect uterine contractions. So the reactive non-stress test is a normal response. This is 2 accelerations greater than or equal to 15 beats per minute above baseline. This is kind of complicated. I don't know how much I want to go into this right now, to be honest with you. Just understand there's a non-stress test. There's also a contraction stress test. This one's performed in the lateral recumbent position. The fetal heart rate monitor is, you check this either giving oxytocin or doing nipple stimulation, one or the other. Basically, you're you're causing contractions, and then you're seeing how the baby does through those contractions. And there's a positive contraction stress test, and there's a negative. The positive is defined by decelerations following 50% or more contractions 10 minutes below. Means you don't need to do the delivery. So delivery it's usually warranted. You usually want to do the delivery. If the decelerations are that serious, then you want to deliver the baby. Negative is defined as no late or significant variable decelerations within 10 minutes, at least 3 contractions. It just means that the baby's doing pretty good. So you basically cause the contractions, and then you see what happens. If the baby has these really bad decelerations, then you're worried about it, and if it doesn't, then you're not worried. There's also equivocal. This is defined by intermittent or late decelerations or significant variable decelerations. Alright, so there's other kinds of ways of monitoring too. One is, so like I said, beats per minute. This is another way of looking at it. So, or BPP. Uses real-time ultrasound to assign a score of 2 or 0, 0 being abnormal, to 5 parameters. So you look at fetal tone, breathing, movement, amniotic fluid volume, and non-stress test. And then you score it like this. So I'm actually gonna talk about this one a little more. Maybe I'll hit it up I'll go ahead and hit it up in this video. So let me do this. So what we have here is we have several parameters. We have fetal tone, we have breathing, movement, amniotic fluid volume, and non-stress test. And each one of these is going to receive a score of 0 to 2, and 0 is bad. Okay, so after you've kind of given an assessment on these things, then you have to interpret the results. And the results are that 8 to 10 equals good, 6 is considered equivocal, so if it's a term, usually you want to deliver. So if term, then deliver baby. And then if we got 0 to 4 equals worrisome. And that means that we want to do an immediate delivery. If the baby can survive, even if it's premature. Okay, sorry for all the noise, there's people upstairs. Alright, so I think I'll end that video.